Welcome back, and today we are going to be taking a look at the FR-1 Fireball, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why this thing is definitely worth a pickup right now, even though it is not on sale. If you're looking to buy anything, feel free to use my discount code down below. You get the skill issue decal as well as an additional 3% off while supporting the channel. This plane is kind of insane, but it does have some drawbacks to it that make it not completely brain dead overpowered. You still need a semblance of knowledge in order to make this thing work, but in reality it is pretty simple because the main thing we are going to be abusing is speed. The thing goes about 600 kilometers an hour on the deck, which is incredibly fast for a 6.3. It's not quite faster than the Wyvern. However, the Wyvern has of course abysmal energy retention and turns like an absolute truck. This thing, however, actually turns quite tightly. It's incredibly strong, especially with the flaps down. However, the retention still isn't the best, but this isn't a major issue because you're just so much faster than everyone. You're able to really get into the merge going 200 kilometers an hour quicker than your opponent, and you don't really need to worry about whatever they do. Now, when you are on the defensive, most of the time you can simply dive to the deck, outrun your enemy, equalize the energy, and then just kind of shallow climb away like you would with a jet. And then on top of it, the low speed performance with the flaps down is actually incredibly strong. Just be careful that it doesn't turn into a raid, but we'll talk about that when we get into those scenarios, because that is definitely the biggest issue this plane has. It's the sustained turn if you really want to send it. And sending it we did. Today we are not going to be playing this thing optimally. I'm not going to be keeping my speed at all time and running props out of energy by simply going 600. I'm actually going to try to test its limits, and we're just going to try to dogfight as many people as possible. And this is mainly because I was kind of tilted playing this thing because everything that could go wrong was going wrong. Mainly just things outside of the game. Getting focused by 20 people at once, people ringing the doorbell mid-match, getting team killed on takeoff and all the Shazam. So I'm playing kind of on tilt mode, which is why I am going to be dogfighting literally everything we run into. Let's take a few looks at some of the examples that also have been playing in the background, but trust me, I have a lot more of them. The speed allows you to put yourself into position to just drop the nose and kill people without much issue. When you go defensive, it's a little bit worse, but when you run into planes like the P-51 for example, you just need to be wary of the 50 cals in the first pass. If you dodge that nose, you're probably going to end up behind him relatively quickly. Make him compress, he won't have a rudder, I roll out of the way, and he's overshooting for now, but we have to keep in mind that the D20 loses a lot of speed very quickly, so we're actually going to drop flaps, cut throttle a little bit to solidify our position, and at this point he's way too slow. We just need to make sure that our guns actually kill him, because that's another kind of drawback. 250 cals per wing isn't ideal. Luckily he wanted to kiss that squirrel and he ends up flying straight into the tree, but the 50 cals are incredibly potent a lot of the time, not always. Sometimes you go head on, you one-shot their engine, you set them on fire, you get a pilot snipe, you blow their wing smooth off, but other times, like you'll see in this match, the guns are just not going to be there all the time. Now I use a trick here where I use Mach and I put the back jet engine on 103%. This way it won't overheat. It can go to 104 and it starts cooking rather quickly, and then I put my actual prop engine on 110% web. I used this trick in the Fokker D20 I think it was, where you spawn at 1300 kilometers an hour. The rear engine got absolutely zero airflow, so we decided to run the rear engine on mil power and the front engine on web. In this thing we do the same thing. Be careful, it does have a supercharger gear, and the prop pitch is not automatic. The first time I flew it out, I had my prop pitch on 50% because I wasn't aware that it wasn't automatic, and it cost me a lot of horsepower. At the start of the match you will find people above you and on go out pretty often, but I'm not really shy to just go to the deck and piece everyone up that is flying low and slow. This is the very first match I did in it, and yes, this is the match where I had 50% prop pitch. Now the good thing is at super high speed this means you have less drag, so actually it doesn't hinder us all too much, but the second you start going slower you really notice it in the acceleration department. You can tell that here I can still use all that speed to go vertical and drop back down, making you basically impervious to props. It's an absolute prop destroyer, at least most of the time. There are some planes you really want to be careful of. Yak trees come to mind. They're pretty damn annoying, but you're just so much faster that you don't really have to worry about them all too much. Here we go on 104% web. We go head on with the 190. He pulls into the head on very last second. Not sure why people decide to do that. I mean, clearly I'm already shooting at you. The second I see you pull in, I'm going to pull out of the way. We set him on fire, we get a severe, and that is going to be that. That's 4 kills in pretty quick succession. And then we start running towards the LA5, the B-18 that just got killed. And then on the left we notice our arc nemesis. It's not quite a jet prop, but it comes pretty close. It's the well-known turboprop, the Wyvern, and he is on the far left over here. And I do think that I can catch him at the time being. Well, right now I'm not actually looking at him just yet, but I do know that he's there. There he is. And we start diving towards him, because at this point I still had the idea that I would go about 700 in a straight line. I saw some screenshots. I didn't catch him. He was quicker than us, but because I knew that he wanted to go to the airfield, I was able to kind of reel him in. This is like a 3-minute chase, so I'm going to cut it out. We are going to start shooting at him yet again. We get a hit, we set him on fire, and he almost instantaneously puts it out by flying low over the water, I guess. Might have sucked it into his intakes, I'm not entirely sure. But at this point we are at 700 meters. We get some more hits. We're still running him down, we're just forcing him to turn. I don't have the most amount of ammo, so I'm not going to be spraying all too much. He goes a little bit broadside here. We get some more hits in, try to dodge the tree. More damage, not enough. LA5 shows up, and I thought he isn't actually going to be going that fast, so I'm just going to go basically straight up. At this point we are on auto engine settings, because I noticed that it had so many settings that I wasn't aware of. I'm not able to outrun the LA5, so I'm forced to pull in. But I do want to clean up this Wyvern before I start the dogfight, because I don't want this to be a 2v1. We pull up over his nose, and from this point on, the second you get past someone's nose and they are close to you, it's incredibly easy to stall them out and just drop directly on top of them. The combination of engine plus flaps is incredibly strong here, and you can tell that the wings kind of resemble the shape of something like an F2H, and it kind of handles in the same way. As I said, when you are in the 2 circle, this plane can be kind of shitty. The sustained is not the best. However, when you are going super slow and you're close in a stall fight, you are completely able to stunt on people without much issue. And the LA5 there was a perfect example. Wyvern gets killed by my friendly because he really wanted to run to the airfield. And then we have a BF-109 F4. He's above us, he has more energy, and he really doesn't want to engage us, which I kind of understand, but because of that, we're not really able to get good shots on him. He starts diving away, and because of that, we are going to be breaking off, and we're going to be engaging the yak tree instead. We go head on. I know that this person wants to go head on because I saw them earlier this match. They're really suicidal, so I'm just going to be spraying, and I'm just going to be pulling out of the way, and I need to still look at the BF-109. Now luckily the yak tree decides to go for the P-47. This gives me a little bit of extra time, and you can tell that I'm going into a bit of a shallow climb. I'm trying to get a little bit of separation here while trying some height, but we're going kind of too slow, and I want to wrap this up right now because that yak tree needs to go down as well. And I don't want to fight these two planes in a 2v1 because they're both incredibly strong when it comes to a low speed dogfight, and it's something that I'm probably not going to be winning. I can of course just draw it out and go super fast, super long and go straight lines, but I'm not having any of that. I don't have the patience today. So a dogfight, the BF-109, I'm going a little bit too slow. I'm not able to trim my guns on, and that is going to be an absolute waste. I almost go back after the BF-109, but the yak tree would have 100% killed me. So we straighten out, we get our speed up, and we start shallow climbing away. And this is actually perfect because now I'm able to get separation and some height, because the BF-109 doesn't actually climb behind me. If he had done that, I probably wouldn't have killed him, or it would have gone back to the initial engagement where he's above me and he starts diving on me. But because he stays on the deck, he tries to use speed against a jet essentially, We're able to slowly build up the separation, slowly get some height, and then we get directly on top of him and we pull up over his nose. Now here I fake the head on, we pull in, we let him take the shot, then we just break off, we go horizontal, and after that, oh, I notice how slow he is, so I'm actually gonna go straight up yet again. And all we need to do now is drop the landing flaps and just spray this guy down. Once you have position in this thing, it's incredibly easy to kill people. The issue really is when they have the advantage over you and you don't want to just run away. You can do that. If people start diving on you, you can dive with them, equalize the speed, your top speed is going to be higher, and eventually you will just outrun and outclimb them. Granted, they try to play your game. Here comes the Typhoon. It's the Mark 1B or the Mark 1B late. I'm not entirely sure which one it is, but it is the one with the 20mm, and I do want to be somewhat careful of it. Even though it's defensively one of the worst planes at this entire battle rating, because it's very bad at rolling. In terms of a sustained dogfight, this thing will absolutely shit on me. I try to keep it fast. I go under him. We pull up over his wings. I throttle dropped a little bit because I wasn't entirely sure what this guy was going to be doing, and if I do get him on my 6 at low speed, it is essentially over. So I try to play for position and I'm able to get my guns on relatively quickly. However, I just don't have enough airspeed to actually get enough lead in. He goes up. I am never going to be following this, but for now I want to push him a little bit further away from me, and then I notice that he rolls over and goes vertical. So what do? We break off. I am not going to be following that because I'm just going to be stalling in his guns. We level out, we dive slightly, and we're going to build up a little bit of speed. And you can tell that I am going to have a very easy time just disengaging and running away. But I now have a rough idea on how he's going to be playing, as well as he's the last guy in the enemy team. And you can tell that he's still catching me somewhat, but now we are breaking 600. I will outrun him. It's a matter of time. I just need enough room, but I know roughly what he's going to do. So we pull in, we roll up over his wings, and we're going to predict where he's going to be going. It is right here. And now we actually have a little bit more speed compared to him than last time. So we are a little bit closer, but you can tell that he is spiraling up, and I didn't actually have enough speed. The landing flaps here are not going to be saving me, and he basically has me by the balls. Now I can do two things here. I should have gone straight into the spiral. I thought about breaking off here, but my flaps took a little bit too long to retract. I noticed my position. I need to pull back in. I get a little bit lucky here. It is a hard shot for him because the thing doesn't roll. And here we're going to use the flaps. We're going to throttle drop, and we're going to get him really, really close to us while we pitch in. He tries to go vertical yet again. However, this time around, we are just a little bit too fast, and we're able to turn him into a fireball. He goes down. Yes, I should have lost this fight. But that's kind of why I put it in there. It's not a perfect fight, but I do want to show you that it is possible to lose dogfights in this thing. Even though I won it right there, you can tell that the Typhoon basically had me by the balls. Now here we have a 1v4 actually. We are low on tickets. I am on the clock. I'm not going to be able to run around too much. BF-109, close and below, going pretty slow. Damn, I'm spitting bars. Piece him apart. Wait for the other 109. I'm still going 630. That is completely okay. I'm just gonna go into a shallow climb and get away from the enemy pack. Right now I'm going much quicker than those guys, so I want to go a little bit higher. I want to get a little bit further away from them, and then we're gonna start dogfighting the BF-109. I'm not entirely sure which it is. At this point I thought it was a BF-109 F4. However, in our advantage, it's actually a G2 trop, so it's a little bit easier to fight here. It's not as maneuverable, and I should be able to kill him just that little bit quicker. So we let him get a little bit closer while running away from the Yak-3. We have enough separation at this point to hopefully kill him in a singular turn. We go up and over, he breaks his flaps off, and now we try to sit behind him as he completely compresses in front of us. Now, if he goes into a raid here, you can tell he's going to pull away from me. But I still have a little bit of altitude, and I can go down slightly and hopefully push him into a mistake. And he goes down just that little bit. That gives me the opportunity to pull straight in. We get some hits. He panics, because if he had just pulled straight there, I wouldn't have been able to kill him. We're going to hold the trigger down until he finally dies. Get some good damage in. He goes into the water, and down he goes. And now we have a 190, as well as an I-185 that's a little bit further away. Now I don't want to head on or dogfight the 190 here because I'm just going to be licked up by the I-185. So we're just going to RI check him, slightly move to the left. He misses completely and he flies straight on. It's an A5 U14, not a big deal. So we just go head on with the I-185. We severe him, we pull out of the way, and then we turn back around. The 190 A5 U14 should be a pretty simple kill, but I don't want to head on him when I'm going 400. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to. The tickets are ticking down and I just don't have enough time. So we pull into the head-on here. We do spray a little bit. I didn't want to full commit because I wanted him to actually dogfight me, because I thought it would be more fun to actually have a bit of a fight here. Except after complaining about me running away from a 1v5, he runs away from a 1v1 and calls me an idiot. Never change, War Thunder, never change. Now, we lose the match, obviously, and then we go straight into the next match, which I'm actually pretty happy about, because everything that I wanted to happen kind of did. It is the full match. Actually, a pretty interesting one, if I do say so myself. We noticed some guys up front, they're on co-elt, there's too many of them. I do want to turn around, so we're just going to drop on this BF-109 F4 trop. We completely disassemble his plane, and then we go for the Yak 3. Now, he is obviously going to try and pull in for the last second head-on, but we blow his wing off, and we just go straight. Unfortunately, that Yak 3 is not that in the slightest, and we are going to have some issues with him later on. Now we have some guys here. We have a Yak 9, LA5, we have 2 guys on the deck, 3 guys on the deck, and another LA7 next to the J21. We are completely boxed in, people everywhere, and I do want to go for the right targets. LA7 is priority, but the Yak 9 is going relatively slow. Turns out it's only a Yak 9K, but we are going to shoot preemptively into that head-on as he's going super slow. He's kind of forced to take it, because if he don't, well, if he dodges, he dies. If he doesn't, he dies. So it doesn't really matter there. He's going way too slow. He messed it up with the first engagement. And here you can tell that if people dive on you, you go 600. No one is going to be catching you. Shavaks don't have the best ballistics. I'm not really too worried about getting hit from a kilometer away. I do want to somewhat turn a little bit still, but I'm just waiting for the Wyvern to come in and push him off me. And that's exactly what happens. We are in a bit of a 4v2 here. The Wyvern is just going to continue on straight. I'm going to be a bit of a disruptor, and he is going to be doing the exact same thing. Getting help from a random is pretty huge. For now, I'm just going to go into a little bit of a shallow climb, and I'm going to try to get over all these guys while they chase the Wyvern. Sadly, they have more than one brain cell, and they realize that they are not going to be catching the Wyvern and direct their attention to me. Now, luckily, it's only 2 of them, and as I say that, it's 3. One of them breaks off again, and now there's only 2 on my 6. Now I know that the LA5 is going to be catching me here, but I noticed how the Wyvern was playing, and I decided to kind of pull towards him, go for the LA7, let the LA5 close the gap, let him climb into me, and this way we can kind of clean each other's 6. And is this gonna happen exactly how I plan it? Not entirely sure just yet, but there comes the LA7, frees up the Wyvern. For now, I'm not in danger. I just need to make sure that I'm in a good position to actually dodge these guys. And here I can go into a bit of a spiral and pull the head-on away from the Wyvern. And this allows him to just kind of come in for free, which is what we want to happen. Wyvern comes back, which is good. So I'm going to keep turning into this direction. It forces them to choose. Either go head-on with the Wyvern or chase me. Either way, the Wyvern gets to have a shot. If they break off, it gives me the room to actually engage. Now the issue here is that the Wyvern goes for a full commit head-on, gets killed by the LA5 as I have to deal with a Yak 3. Luckily, because they broke off, I now have the room and the energy to actually fight them. LA5 is going way too slow, sacrificed all of his position. We set him on fire and then we engage the Yak 3. The LA5, is he actually dead? We aren't completely sure just yet, but for now we should be able to go for the Yak 3 and just kind of sit directly on top of him. He's probably going to try to pull in here, so I'm just going to sit right above him, try to go over the 90-degree mark, so he has to pull over 90 degrees up and then keep turning to get a shot. It's going to cost him a lot of energy, and you can tell that he is stalling out. So we drop the flaps and we're just going to pull straight in for the shot as he's going way too slow. Now he notices that I'm actually going to be catching him when he does that, and I am just going to go full aggressive here because I cannot let this guy actually equalize the energy. We get some shots in, not the best aim here, but again I'm completely tilted, but we blew off his wingtip, so we should be completely okay. But the first yak tree that we found, we shot the wingtip off, he went back to land. LA5 on fire, puts it out, on his way back to land. So I am gonna be finishing him. We have seen him in the back of his skull, and there is the yak tree from the start of the match that just won the head-on with the FR-1. We went back to rearm because I thought there were more people alive, but in the time that I went to rearm, 3 of the enemy died, and now there's only 3 enemies left. It's a yak tree, LA5, and a BF-109 F4, all pretty damn formidable opponents. But for now, I only have a yak tree in the area. He's not going that much faster. And again, we are alone. I need to use this opportunity to piece this guy apart, because if this turns into a 2 or 3v1, even if I play the long game, it's unlikely that without help I'm going to be getting a good position. So what do? We start diving shallowly. We let this guy go for us. And we are gonna abuse his rip speed and his high speed compression to instantly get onto his 6. We are gonna be going about 670 speed. He needs to go up, and we know this, so we can actually follow him into the direction that he needs to go. We go under him, he's compressing, we drop throttle a little bit to solidify the position. This is essentially suicide, but I need to make it happen right here, right now, because I do not want those other 2 guys to intervene. The yak tree is insanely annoying to deal with in this thing. And we get on his 6. We can force him into making a mistake. And when you have 1200 rounds of API rounds on the 50 cals, eventually something will do a little bit of damage. After killing him, we fly towards the middle of the map. We go head on with the LA5, and at this moment I think, well, I'm actually kind of okay, because the 109 is kind of low and slow. So we dogfight the LA5, we go up a little bit to make sure that he needs to pull up into us. He notices this because he's going to die right there, and he dives straight to the deck. Now this is somewhat a good idea, but he overcommits to his bit a little bit, and now he gives me actually ample room to simply just turn around and ignore him. He dove way too far. He should have just gone into a shallow dive, maybe actually dive split S towards his 109, but now I separated them a little bit. The LA5 is way too low. He burned way too much energy doing that because his top speed isn't that high, and again, the higher you go over your top speed, the more speed that you waste. And now I have him energy trapped. I don't need to worry about him all too much. And the BF-109 is also not fast enough. The LA5 is still the prime target here. And as you can tell, I'm not engaging the 109. I'm simply dragging the LA5 close to the 109 so I can dogfight them both at the exact same time. At this moment, the LA5 is a little bit too fast, so we go into a shallow dive here, build up a little bit of speed and separation. I noticed that at about 400 speed, 350 IES, I'm able to run away from him while he cuts me off, so I have a lot more energy. We wait for him to get a little bit closer, pitch up a little bit more, and at this point it's too steep, it's too far, it is not going to happen. He pitches in, we drop the landing flaps, I'm instantly gonna put in the counter attack, and he notices a little bit too late, but I am going to be getting the shot. Down he goes, and here comes the BF-109. Now I can do the boring thing and just zoom away, equalize energy, climb away, drop on top. But again, I'm going to be throwing for content. We're gonna dogfight this guy, we merge, go up over his nose, and the second we get past that nose, it's not quite over, because the BF-109 F4 is actually pretty close to the yak tree if played optimally. But that's not what he's doing. He goes into the wrong direction, he gives me a window, I'm gonna be pulling in here. And again, if you put rounds down range, you're putting pressure down on someone. Why are those trees floating around that mountain? Whatever. We get on the 6, we're just gonna spray him down. And at this kind of range and speed, I should have the ability to kill him relatively easily. He gets pieced apart, and then we start looking at this rock over here on the right. I am again not sure what this is, but I know that the FR-1 is a bit of a hidden gem. Thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next one.